All right. Welcome, everyone. Oh my God, y'all are really coming in the room. Welcome. My name is Jeanette Greenwood. I am your host tonight with Ladies in Film and Television, and we're super excited. We're here with a special segment here on Live TV to talk about films that matters. And I'm so excited because this film that we're going to talk about tonight, as well as the writer, co-director that's going to come and share her story, her testimony. I want you to be in the room. Now, go ahead and share this live. That's one of the rules. So I got a couple of rules I got to go over. They're not many, but these are just my rules. Okay. Share the live. Rule number one. Okay. Rule number two. When I bring my guest on, we can't literally see you or hear you. We can only see the hearts and things like that you say. So what I ask my guests, which are you're my audience, right? So if you're on your phone, and if you're on like YouTube or if you're on Facebook, I'm not sure. There's a little button that you can push that can give hearts, and you can give them really fast. Okay, just go pushing really fast. Make them just fly everywhere. That's how we clap on here, okay? Because I can't see your hands and we can't hear the applause. So that's how we show love to our guests. Y'all, let me just tell y'all, I'm super excited. And if you're not from Texas, then you're going to already understand that I am a true Texan because you're going to hear me say y'all all night long. Okay. That's just what I do. I'm a Southern belle. That's just what I do. Okay. So I'm super excited tonight to have our guest. And this is really a serious topic, all jokes aside, tonight. And I'm just blown away from this young woman to be able to come and share her story. Tonight, we have Chong Kim that's going to be coming on to talk about, she's a survivor of human trafficking. So tag somebody, share this, because this is a topic that we really need our children and everybody to tune in, because this is so serious. I'm going to read just a couple of things that I actually got out of Dallas. I think the paper is called Dallas City News, and these are actually legitimate stats. Texas, guys, is the second largest hub for sex trafficking in the country. Y'all, this don't sound right to me because I'm right here in Texas. Well, in the country, we're the second, number two. And the city of Dallas is one of the top 10 cities nationwide with the most sex trafficking. And in case you don't know, January is National Sex Trafficking Month. We got some things coming for you guys that month. But the illegal sex trade is $99 million crime in Dallas. $99 million crime in Dallas, with over 400 teen girls on Dallas Street at night. And the average age of these girls is 13 years old. This is serious, y'all. Within 48 hours of leaving home, and they say majority of these children, these people that are trafficked are homeless. And within 48 hours of them leaving, the teens leaving home, they are approached by a sex trafficker within 48 hours. Over half of traffic victims were initially youth runaways, and Dallas is home to nearly 3,400 homeless youth. We gotta spread the word. This film that is about to be introduced to you is something we all need. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on my guest with an S, Chong Kim, and she's got her lead with her, Miss KayDee Carr. And y'all, what really makes this super exciting for me is that they're both members of Ladies in Film and Television, And KayDee Carr is our treasurer. I'm like, you go, girl. So y'all get your hearts together. Don't forget to speak. You walked into the house. You got to speak when you walk in, and just give them some love as I bring them to the stage.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hi. Thank y'all so much for joining us tonight on this very serious topic. And congratulations on this film. She and I was talking backstage before we started the show. This film has made it internationally already, and it has not been out this long. So, Chong, welcome to the show. KayDee, welcome to the show. Chong, tell us who you are and your experience in trafficking. Why did you do this film?
Hi, everyone. My name is Chong Kim. I am a survivor of human trafficking, and my experience actually happened back in the 90s, where no one knew what human trafficking was. And it wasn't until 2003 when I learned the terminology human trafficking. And then I became an activist, an advocate, and I also started working in law firms. I became a legal advocate. But one of the big things that I started to realize is that when I was doing freelance work or being a consultant for the FBI or ICE or any investigative cases, one of the big parts I started seeing when the epidemic of trafficking kept coming on in the public eye is that majority of the girls that get trafficked and are not treated the same were African American girls, Indigenous girls, Hispanic American girls, and Asian American girls, primarily the minority American girls. And so the title of the film is called Every 40 Seconds, or E40S. And what that means is every 40 seconds, and I didn't learn this until I started working alongside with law enforcement. And I learned that every 40 seconds in America, a child or youth goes missing. And 1 in every 4th child or youth gets caught up in human trafficking. So the short doesn't just talk about sex trafficking, because they also correlate together with labor trafficking, organ trafficking, and sex trafficking. And then the recent news has been about embryo trafficking, meaning they want the girls to be pregnant. They turn these girls from a sex slave to a baby machine. And in order to bring that awareness out, I decided to have the short concentrate on what embryo trafficking is. There was a recent bust in South Padre, Texas. And so this was a Texas case. And so, but one of the things, like, for example, there was a victim named Crystal Kaiser. She was charged for murdering her trafficker. Same thing with Sarah Cruzan, same thing with Centonia Brown. And one of the things I started reading the defense that their attorneys wanted to use was battered women syndrome. The thing is, when you are being abused by a trafficker versus a battering husband, spouse, or boyfriend, those are two different trauma dynamic. So you cannot use battered women syndrome. And it also, a lot of people don't know this. Battered women syndrome is not recognized as a mental illness. So one of the things I want to bring with E40S, because I am diagnosed with BPD, which is borderline personality dissociation, DID, dissociative identity disorder, PTSD, and all other mental health issues due to the extreme form of trauma. So one of the things, and I'll explain it to you in a simpler matter, basically someone who has multiple personality and someone who has a personality disorder because when they feel triggered, and I'll give you a small example. So, when a survivor is out of the trauma, but the thing is, because of her body, her subconscious, her conscience, she doesn't know what healthy looks like. So anytime if she's dating a guy and he's just stretching his arm just to stretch, she may flinch, and then the personality disassociation comes in, saying, "Oh, he's about to hit you." So she starts knocking him first, thinking that he's going to punch her. And all he did was just stretch. There is a great film that was done by Halle Berry called Frankie and Alice. I know it used to be on Peacock, but it's called Frankie and Alice, and that's BPD. And so I wanted to bring that into E40X. And I wanted people to understand the trauma that survivors go through, even in the aftermath, because people think that if we're out of it, we're free, we're happy. No, we have to rebuild our own life to know what exactly is healthy. And so with Crystal Kaiser's case, I wanted to explain to their defense team that this is not a battered woman syndrome. If I were to guess, I would assume that she has had severe trauma in her life. This is a man that forced her to be raped and paid rape at that because he got paid, not her. So when people say, well, you know what, he was asleep when she killed him, where was his defense? Well, where was her defense? Where was her defense when she was 15, when he first picked her up? Where was her defense when she was 16, when she was being forced to be raped over and over and over? And where was her defense when she couldn't take it anymore? So that's when our survival mechanism, which is mine, is having an alter ego, my alter ego with Jules. So Jules says, no, I'm coming in the front, I'm taking over, you're shaking too much, I'm going to protect us. There is also a great TV show that talks about dissociative identity disorder, and it's on Apple TV. It's called The Crowded Room. Because one of the downfalls about having the alters, well, I'll start with the positives. The positive of having an alter, they protect you while you're in trauma mode. But once you have gotten out of that crisis and out of that trauma environment, your alter egos believe they're still protecting you. And so when you start to heal, your alters eventually starts to go away. It's
Wow.
just like when you have a scar on your body, the more you heal, the scar disappears, right? Same thing with our alter egos. Now, I will say this, even if you have alter egos, it doesn't disappear that quickly, even when you're healing. I've had my alter egos since for 30 years, and they're still available. And one of the biggest questions I get asked is, does your alter ego come out when you are triggered? To be honest, my alter ego is always there, but when they take over is when I am truly traumatized. So
Wow.
when I did some undercover work, the Jules part of me came in the forefront because this man that I had to pretend that I liked just for the FBI. So I said, I can't do this. I'm scared. And Jules is like, you know what? Move out of the way. I'm coming in. So the Jules alter ego comes in and says, okay, baby, what do you want to talk about? So it's a whole different demeanor because she knows how to play the game. And so when KayDee and I were working on the script, one of the things that I thought was so cute, she was like, does she kill people? And I said, no, she goes after traffickers that always gets away with it, like politicians, corrupted officials, things like that. And so it gave her an insight when she got to learn about dissociative identity disorder. And but for a short film, we had to make it palatable. We had to make it understanding for people to know. So I had her wear a wig. So when she's in that blonde wig, she was Jules. And then when she was in the short hair, she was back to Jolena. And so,
Oh, okay.
yes, but
Wow.
she basically works alongside with the FBI, the task force in the show. And so when you watch the show, one of the traffickers is going to frame her. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Wow. So let me ask you, Chung. Um, I mean, thank you so much for sharing. I mean, just in that little time, you shared enough to really break it down, because especially with the alter egos, because I was wondering how, when a person is rescued from human trafficking, what is it like after the healing process, right? What was the most difficult aspect of your experience?
My alter ego, because I didn't know they exist when I was
Mm,
in my 20s, because I was trafficked from 19 to 21. So after
mm,
21, I ranked up as a madam back in the 90s because there was no laws about human trafficking. So I
right.
basically became what they call the bottom girl or the female pimp. So that's what I became. And so once I found that I was pregnant and they went to keep my baby, that's when I
Mm,
ran away because I did not want any of my offspring to be born into slavery. And
mm,
so and I was still living out on the street back in the 90s. I don't know if you remember like Lava Link and Questline. That was my back page back in the day. I used to
wow.
call the hotline, say, hey, do you want a generous girl? I'm Asian. I would give my measurements. And you can always tell who are the regulars because they would say, this is my number. Call me back. You can collect. The guys who didn't know anything, they would say, I'm generous. I'll take you out on a date. I love to open doors. I'm like, no, next. And so I would have men tell me they would call me Jules because back in the late 90s to early 2000, I didn't go by Chong. I didn't start going by Chong until 2008.
Mm,
So back in the day, I went by Kim, and then Jules was my
yes.
alter ego.
Wow. So in the movie, KD is playing your alter ego,
She's
Jules.
playing both. She's
Both.
playing the survivor that helps rescue the victims, and she also plays the alter ego because when she has to come face to face with a predator, Jolena can't handle that. Jolene like, no, I can't do this. And Jules is like, step out of the way, let me step in, and we're going to do what we need to do.
Let me ask you this. What were the warning signs or the red flags when you noticed that you were being trafficked? Which I know back then they didn't call it trafficking. Um, it was what, more like sex slaves or something to that nature. But what was the warning sign? I mean, how did you get in that situation?
Well, back in the 90s, it was easier to target runaways than it is today because now we all have cell phones. But the one common denominator from back then to today that has not changed is grooming. The
Okay.
way they groom you. And it could be a woman to groom you, it can be a man, but the guy that groomed me, he was wearing a military uniform. So I thought he was in the military. So we dated. He said, you sound beautiful. Also, love bombing. I got to learn these terminologies like the past few years. I was like, oh my gosh, he loved bombing because I didn't know what love bombing was. I didn't know that was a red flag. For those that don't know what love bombing is, love
I don't.
bombing is okay. So I'll give you a description. Let's say that I'm a guy and I'm hitting on you. So how I'm going to groom you, I'm going to say, you know what, Jeanette, I've been watching your shows. I love them. I think they are great. You are amazing. And I start throwing flowers at you. I start
Oh.
mailing you stuff, but it goes so fast. That's why it's called love bombing, because it's like one after the other. I'm texting you. I'm saying, hey, Jeanette. Even 5 seconds later, I'm like, hey, Jeanette, you there? And you're like, I'm working. Chill out. Then I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to break all the stuff. You are pathetic. You got issues. I'm going to gaslight you to make you think you're the one who's crazy, not me. This all
Mm.
falls under narcissism
Yes,
because
that's exactly what it.
traffickers,
Yes.
because traffickers and groomers are narcissists. But what they are good at is love bombing and grooming. They make you feel a certain way that you never felt before. And they go after people that either have boundary issues, that have some type of vulnerability, and it can even be a female to female, like a female friend that will go after a young teenage girl and say, hey, you want a big sister? I'll be your big sister. Your mom won't get you that Michael Kors, I'll get you that Michael Kors. All of that is part of grooming. And when people tell me, my son is 6'4", he's not going to be groomed. If he's still a boy and he likes to look at naked pictures of girls, he can be groomed. It doesn't matter the size. Because I can get, being an adult woman, I can just accidentally text him and say, hey, I'm on my way. I get random texts that I don't know. They'll say, hey, I'm on my way. I block and delete it. I do not answer it.
Wow.
Because
That's
you never
deep
know
right
if
there.
those groomers. Yep.
Grooming. That's really really deep right there because I can see. Well, it's wow. I'm speechless because I'm sitting here listening to you. I'm like, I never thought about that. Especially with the
This.
young boys and of course, teenage boys, they want to look at stuff like that. But then and
Mhm.
you see so many recently, I have not seen so many women that are messing around with these young boys. I mean, I'm sure it's always happened, but it's really coming to the forefront where teachers and people in power that are messing with these young boys, grooming them, as you said.
Mhm.
Wow.
Absolutely. Every adult male that have reached out to me, I will say this much. Let's say 10 of them reached out of 7 out of 10 were all sexually abused by women. The other 3 were sexually abused by men.
Wow. How did you escape your human trafficking situation? How
I
did you
had
get
to
out?
rank up I had to rank up as a madam. And so when you're a madam, or basically what they call the bottom girl, in the pimping world they call it the bottom girl, or the girl that's the sidekick for the pimp. But my traffickers, and I want to emphasize this, I did not have any black pimps as my trafficker.
Really?
I kid you not. Even the black girls that were trafficked with me, we were all forbidden to look, smile, make any eye contact to any black men and Hispanic men.
Mm.
Most of the men that we were paid for rape were white and Asian. And when I say Asian, I'm talking about Northern Asian, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, basically because they had the money. That's
Wow.
how the traffickers, and my trafficker, they were European, but they did their business here. They were Albanian, Russian, and they also had ties with the indigenous land, the reservation. If you, if people ever see my movie Eden, it's on Amazon Prime. Bo Bridges plays the trafficker, and the girl who played me was Jamie Chung. We were held on an Indian reservation.
I
So
watched
when
that one.
I, yeah, so when I ranked up, they actually removed me from the girls because I couldn't go back on the reservation. I'm not Native American. so I couldn't rescue the girls. And the traffickers knew that. They knew I wanted to go back and rescue the girls. That's why they separated. The other thing is they injected narcotics into my veins, and that's how I became addicted. And I have been 22 years clean of cocaine, meth, heroin, and crack cocaine.
Yes, you deserve hand claps. Yes, that's awesome. That is so awesome. So, what kind of support? I know that you talked about all of your diagnosis, which are very understandable considering what you went through. What type of support are you receiving now after leaving the situation?
Well, in my earlier years, after I left the situation, back then I didn't get a lot of support because nobody knew what human trafficking was.
Right.
I didn't start getting support until later in 2000. That's why I accepted my name Chong in 2008 because that's when I started therapy. That's when I learned about my alter ego because I would actually wake up with bruises on my hand. I would
Really?
wake up, yes. I would wake up with men's credit cards on my bed. I don't remember how I got them. I would wake up with Rolex, watches, things like that.
So basically, when you went into this other personality, she was out doing Lord knows what. And then when you wake up, you're back to you. And now you're trying to figure out where all this stuff. Wow. Wow. Chong, you are a miracle.
Thank you.
I am.
I have to say it's God, you know?
Yes.
It is
Wow.
definitely God because I could have been killed. There could be so many other things. And I actually did not get confronted until I was dating this man out in Minneapolis. And he threw a book at me saying, I hate you, but don't leave me. And I
Wow.
said, I am not crazy. And I threw the book back at him. But the more I kept reading the book, I was crying. I was like, oh my goodness, this is me. I'm crazy. What's going on here? This isn't me. I don't want it. I don't want this. So then I went to see a therapist and they said so we're going to do some sessions before we'll diagnose you. So after about 3-4 months, I remember Dr. Zeller, that was my doctor, and I put the pills in my hand, put them in my mouth, and I started spitting at him. And I said, none of these work. And he said, are you talking to me or is Jules? And I said, why does people keep saying Jules? There is no Jules. And he said, oh, yes, there is. So he said, I'm going to play a tape. He videotaped our sessions.
Wow.
And so when I saw the Jules part of me, it was still me, but I was sitting upside down, I was chewing gum, and he said, Kim, oh, she left. She's a wimp. She doesn't know how to do things. And he was like, who am I talking to? And she said, it's Jules. I'm 19. Because that was the age that I was trafficked.
Wow. I'm trying to keep the tears from rolling, girl. Oh, y'all see me bugging my eyes because this is truly a movie. And I know it is several movies. You gotta, oh my God. So y'all, for everyone that has just joined in, we are talking to Chong Kim, a trafficking survivor. She has a new film out that's called E40S.
S.
And this is KayDee Carr, who stars in the movie. She plays Chong in the movie. So, KayDee, I'm going to pick on you now because we're going to show the trailer in just a minute. What was it for you to play this role? Now, listen to this. You had to really switch in between these personalities. You had to do some serious acting in this film. how did you prepare for this role, for this character? Well, for these characters.
Well, first, I want to thank Chong for asking me to play this role because I was very honored to the first time I played a role where it's actually based on a true story, true character. So I was very honored for that. But it was, you hear about trafficking. We all know what trafficking is. We hear about it. But after talking to Chong, you don't really know. You kind of figure if somebody's rescued, hey, they're rescued, life is good. But there's a whole lot more that goes into it because I was like, oh Jesus, she wants me to play two different people. How is this gonna work? But it's funny, she mentioned Frankie and Alice and Adrian Holmes, which is, I won't call him a friend. He's an associate of mine. He actually is the guy that plays Uncle Phil on Bel Air. I met him like 11 years ago. He's in the movie Frankie and Alice. So I'd already seen Frankie and Alice because of him. So I already kind of knew about Hallie's playing this character. But it was Chong coached me along the way on Jules and Jolena. So I basically listened and I started kind of doing some Google searches because I'd never heard of, you hear, and I'm not sure if it's the same, multiple personalities, but she said borderline personality disorder. And I'm like, that's the result of being trafficked, So again, you're clueless as to what happens. First of all, when they're in there, they're being mistreated or whatever, but you don't know the depth of it to come out of it. And you still years later are going through something like this, where you're dealing with multiple personalities and et cetera, et cetera. So it was, there was one time I had to really do something in the film and I was like, Lord, how am I going to do this? But I pulled it off. And so it opened my eyes. And even though I'm a grown woman, I don't know if anybody would have any interest in kidnapping a middle-aged woman. I'm very cognizant about my surroundings. And it's actually, I pay attention to stuff because now I just saw an Instagram video where they're telling you don't park next to a car if you can, back in, because cars are pulling up behind you, blocking you. And a lot of new cars, you put them in park. I've changed the settings. You can change the settings in your car if it's a newer car, but generally you put it in park, all the doors unlock, right?
Right. I saw that.
Now, and you can change that. I've changed that in my car. I figured out, I Googled and I figured it out. All the doors come unlocked. So they are blocking you in from behind. And the passenger gets out, he crouches down and he runs and opens your car door and they're stealing purses and they're doing this, that, and the other. And then they take off. So the video was saying, be cognizant about your surroundings, back into parking spaces. And you kind of hear that, but in the past, I didn't pay stuff like that too much attention, but now I really, really do. And I tell especially my teenage cousins, y'all have to be careful. You have to pay attention. You have to look. And Chong, she didn't say it on this just now, but one thing that really touched me is she said, when Black girls or women of color, particularly us, when we are trafficked and our loved ones go to the police, they're basically like, she's a runaway. So it's not taken seriously. And, you see the Caucasians, you see them on TV when it happens, you don't see us. And that is so sad that it's sad. But Chong opened my eyes, and when she told me about the statistics, and yes, Lucretia said, or a prostitute. You go to the police and they're like, okay, she's a runaway, she's a prostitute. But, for whatever reason, it's like she can't be kidnapped. I don't know if they think nobody wants us, but they don't take it seriously. So there are so many missing young Black girls and boys that are out there. And it's like, if we don't care, nobody cares. And also the unfortunate thing is, if it's not you, you kind of like shrug it off, like, it can't happen to me. But it
Right.
really can. So Chong opened my eyes. This movie opened my eyes to a lot, because I didn't know that we were taking more than anything. You know what I mean? More than
Wow.
any other nationality. Women of color are kind of, I guess, in demand, unfortunately. So
Yep.
learned a lot and was honored to play this role and work with Chong throughout pre-production and the whole 9 yards.
Wow. And Chong, this movie just came out, and tell them us about these awards that we're gonna show the trailer in a few minutes, y'all. Give me a couple. I just want to hear this before I show you the trailer. You've entered film festivals. Did you?
Winner. Sorry.
Huh?
I said we're a winner.
And yes. And so tell us about these winners. You actually just had an interview, and tell us about what's happening already with this film. And it's a 20-minute film.
Yes. Originally, this was supposed to be a proof of concept, not so much of a short. And so a friend of mine who owns a film festival, she said, put it in the short. And I said, we're not making profit off of it because we want to make the indie film. This has been a 10-year project. I started writing 10 years ago, and I was pitching and I was learning on the way. And then in March of 2020, A1 Entertainment, along with Lionsgate, were very interested. And then the shutdown happened. And I was like, no!
The pandemic.
Yes, it stopped everything. And I'm just like, can we still move on? And they're like, are you crazy? No, everything shuts down.
We're coughing, Chong.
And I was just so sad. But however, I want to also relay this because one of the things I specifically wanted a minority woman to play the lead, and I specifically wanted either a Black female or an Indigenous female or a Latino American female to play. And one of the big things I get pushed back is, you're not Black. Why are you having a Black female play you? And I tell them this: what do you know about human trafficking? How many Black children and youth go missing every day? And then they're like, let me tell you, close to 200,000 annually as far as African American children and youth in America. Since 2015, African American youth have reached over 1 million that are still missing. This is not about me. This is about the girls that their voices are unheard. And one of the things I want to encourage people, did you know that filing a missing report is a civil issue? It's not criminal. We need to talk to our Congress and change. Any minors that go missing should be considered criminal. So that way the law enforcement is then obligated to work on that case.
Wow.
But that's the big thing, because people kept asking me, well, you're not Black. You shouldn't have a Black woman. What's wrong with you? And I said, this is not just my story. This is Ebony's story. This is Shaquila's story. This is my friend Marlene. She's over in Ohio. This is Desiree's story. This is Jen's story. A lot of my survivor friends are women of color, and they told me, I am so proud of you. I created a website, e40s.net. There's a page I dedicated just for survivors. Because one of the things that we survivors are tired of, people have taken our stories, made it into film, have made profit, and we still don't get paid. I kid you not. People don't realize how many survivor stories are being used in documentaries, in other films and made by non-survivors, and survivors were not being recognized in that film. We're not getting paid for that film. And so I want to dedicate this for survivors. So that way they have a voice. I want to be able to, because people kept telling me you should donate to Polaris or you should donate to, the underground operation. And I said, what about survivor-led programs? They're the ones that's going into the streets that y'all don't want to go into. They're the ones that's going in to rescue our fellow sisters and brothers. And that's why I wanted that phrase in the beginning of the film. How can I feel empowered when my brothers and sisters are still oppressed?
That's deep.
And I wanted the film to be about the girls that we never hear about.
Wow.
I am just as angry and livid that people are more concerned about, oh, you're not Black. And there are some groups that do not support what I do. And I tell them, you know what? I'm glad I'm doing this. And if you don't want to support me, fine. But guess what? I am being recognized in Brazil, Italy, France, Brooklyn International,
yes,
New Mexico, India. There was another film festival called Budapest, and I actually thought it was in India. And my friend goes, no, that's in Europe. But the cool thing is KayDee Carr's face is being shown worldwide.
wow.
And I did my 2 interview with wildfilmmakers.com. It's a online magazine in Italy along with France. And then also the Brazilian International Film Magazine. They're both supposed to come out sometime next month. I'm excited. But the one thing they did ask me is, why did you create this film? Is it because you're a survivor? And I said, it's more than just my pain. It is our pain.
Yes.
Because if I am not helping my fellow sister, then what am I doing this for?
Wow. Wow. And y'all, we're going to show this trailer. Yeah, we got to regroup. I'm going to have to get this fog off these glasses. This is look at KayDee. You have a right to cry, beautiful.
Yes, you did amazing job, and even the film festivals had said you did a phenomenal. They actually thought KayDee was the character's name. They thought your real name was Jolena, and they said, we love the character KayDee Carr. And I said, no.
That's her name.
That's her name. And they're like, wow. And, one thing I want to share, we are not done. We are not done. What you are seeing is just the appetizer. We're coming out with the indie full film. And when the strike is lifted, we will be doing a drama series. And Stephen Bauer, who is an actor who played on Scarface, he is also well known as Don Eladio in Breaking Bad. He is going to play Bankston, which is the FBI agent that I was assigned to, even though it was originally a female. I told him I wanted to bring in some strong, healthy male roles in this as well. Wow. I didn't want it to be gender biased, but I definitely wanted to show we as women, we are capable of also rescuing. We don't need a white knight that has a hero complex. So I went to share that.
Well, I am getting ready to share this film, and I got a question for you, KayDee, when I return. So y'all, hold on, bundle up, and we're going to actually tell you how you can see this film as well. But we're getting ready to show this film trailer, actually. So give me a second to get it up here, because y'all know I be messing stuff up. I done got all nervous because my feelings I'm all in my feelings right now. But here we go.
Every 40 seconds,
Hold on, y'all. I'm sorry. Let me start that over. I want to make sure it's big. Can y'all see it?
Yes.
Let's get a grip on who had control, Before something happens, it can't be undone. 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 It can't be undone.
Wow. Every 40 seconds. Wow. I got to go watch this. And I just found out today, after grabbing that trailer, that I could have been and watched this. So share with us. Well, before we share with this, KayDee, you were just crying.
I know. Oh.
Explain to us, what was you feeling? What were you feeling?
Oh, you need to stop talking to me right now.
I'm nosy. I want to know, because the emotions are real and I know what I'm feeling, but as the actor, I think everybody want to know, what are you feeling?
To hear Chong talk and to think how many people of color, how many Black girls, and basically girls of color are out there and not being looked at, not being looked for. It's just kind of painful. And it's sad. It's kind of like we are not valued as a people. And the funny thing is, on one hand, we're not valued, but we're imitated by everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. Our music, our features, everybody kind of wants to be us to a degree, but we're not valued. That is just so sad. So sad to me.
Yes. Yes. And I agree with you on that, because it's true. It's true. And people like you, Chong, who are selfless, because you could make it all about you. You're the survivor. You got out. Why not be about you? But you're not. And I love what you said. I can't quote it verbatim, but how can I be okay if my sisters are not okay?
Yes.
I can't be okay if my sisters, and that's what fogged up my glasses, is that is so true. How can we, say, and so I know so many people have gone through all type of trauma in our lives. We've all gone through something, whether if it's a divorce or sexual molestation or whatever, some type of trauma. And I feel that my story is not always for me to tell everybody. It may not be, but it's always somebody. You cannot get me to believe that it's somebody out here that we have to share our stories with to help them make it through. You can't get me to believe that, I don't need nobody knowing my business. It's somebody. It's somebody out here that we are assigned to. We are assigned to. And you are truly, truly a blessing. I applaud you. I applaud your bravery and all that you stand for. You're such a giver. I'm just listening to all the places that if you were to go along with those that want you to go along, you could be probably having money at the kazoo because they want you to do it the way they want you to do it, but you're not going for that.
I want to share something real quick. Back in 2016, Harvey Weinstein, before he got busted, his studio contacted me and wanted to pay me $20 million for the whole concept. But they didn't want me to write another human trafficking story for 50 years. They didn't want any of this out. They basically wanted to pay me hush money for $20 million. I turned it down and I literally lost friends. My group of friends back then, they said, "You're so stupid. Can you imagine what you could do with 20 million?" And I said, if I wasn't bought by a rich man back in the 90s to buy me out, what makes you think I'm going to get bought now? Basically, they don't want me to tell the story.
You was knocking on some doors, sweetie.
Because
some
my
Hollywood
traffickers,
doors.
They were politicians. They were elites. They want me to be quiet, just like the whole Epstein case. I will tell people my opinion. You can disagree with me if you want. Epstein did not kill himself. They killed him because they wanted him silent.
I agree.
And even the Black girls that were trafficked with me, every time they end up being killed by traffickers, they roll it as a Black on Black crime. So it gets largely ignored by the county, by the district, by the state. And I got sick and tired of it. And I was in foster care from 13 to 17. And one of my foster sisters, her name was Shaquila. And we grew up in Chickasha, Oklahoma. And I saw the amount of racism that was being put on her. And I was angry. And the one thing she said to me that still haunts me to this day, she said, "Chong, I have to get used to it." I disagreed with her. I said, "No, you don't." Because that was the old school thinking. When I saw the movie, with Forrest Whitaker playing the butler for the White House, I saw the generation dynamic because his son went to fight back, but he said, "You need to learn to be calm. You need to learn to shut your mouth." We're done with shutting our mouths. We're done with being quiet. It's, I always tell people, God gave me a voice. So here I am to speak out loud.
Wow.
But Ebony also died. She was also trafficked. And they ruled that as a Black on Black crime. So that was the first thing that came into my mind when I created this. I said, I want a Black female to play the survivor. Because I want people to know it happens to Black girls. And a friend of mine who does OBGYN, I needed her consulting on the embryo trafficking. She also taught me they now have what's called designer babies. It's illegal in the US, but that doesn't mean that rich people can go to Europe and purchase designer baby genes, which are Black, Asian, Latino, and indigenous. They're called designer babies.
Wow.
It's called genetic distortion or genetic editing.
Man,
so that's why. And there's so many girls that when they go to an abortion clinic, and let me tell you this, I am not going to talk about Roe versus Wade, but I will say this, be careful what private clinics you go to, because some private clinics, when you think you're getting an abortion, they actually steal your eggs so they can sell them overseas. Because if designer babies, they need Black genes, they're going to steal your eggs.
Wow.
Wow.
That's why I did the short as embryo trafficking. In the indie film, it details more about it.
Wow. This, y'all, it is 7. This hour went by so fast. This has been an amazing conversation. Guys, do y'all agree with me out here? Um, this has been amazing, an amazing conversation. One that will continue. We actually got some things we're working with Chong in January. For those that know Texas Indie Filmmaker Awards, we are actually going to be talking, and our actual event is in honor of human trafficking as well as the fentanyl crisis. So we coming to battle in 2024. Ladies in film and television, we're not coming to play. We're coming to battle because we got young people dying on this fentanyl, people, period, of all ages dying, and then human trafficking. And when you just said that they give you drugs to get you on drugs so they can keep you in this control over you as a trafficker. So I can see how both our causes could actually are running neck and neck and hand in hand. So I want to applaud you.
Thank you.
I'm excited about the partnering that we're going to be doing with you next year for Texas Indie Filmmaker Awards, and we're going to be able to get out here and work arm in arm with you, baby girl, and talk. And I like to talk, so you just show me the mic. I'm there. I'm there, and I'm loud, so I have a voice, and I don't mind using it. So I'm super excited. Did you guys Did you enter in Texas Indie Filmmaker Award?
I did.
Hey, well, I can't help you out. I ain't got nothing to do with that. But we're gonna see you over in Italy win, and we're gonna see what happened here. I have nothing to do with that. But we do have some amazing judges that are coming into. We broke our record from last year. We had so many submissions, and we're excited to have your film entered as well. So congratulations, and I wish you the best. We'll see what the judges have to say about it. But we thank you all. KayDee, thank you so much for joining the show tonight. Thank you for crying on my show, because I'm a crybaby too. It's normally me. And I really didn't even, my eyes just watered up, and I thought I had on some eyelashes, and I said, oh, I ain't got none on, so I'm good. I can go on.
I cried for you, sis.
You cried for me, but I thank you, and but I thank you for allowing yourself to be vulnerable, and you're just being the real you. So thank you for allowing that, and congratulations to you both on all the awards that are being won, and many more to come. And I just can see this film going bigger and better, and whatever that we can do to support and assist, let us know, because we're definitely there. I see our president is online. Yes, transparency. That's the word. Thanks. She helped me with these big words, y'all. Thank you for the transparency, KayDee. And thank you, Lucretia Johnson. I know she came on set with you guys and delivered some things for you, helped out with some craft services and stuff. So she's just amazing. I just love her to death. So we want to tell you guys again, congratulations. And I want you to close out for us, Chong. What do you want people? And hold on, y'all. I'm gonna put it in here now. I was waiting to the end because I didn't want to put it in there. Then they click the link and log off and leave us here by ourselves. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the link, the YouTube link to the film. There you go, guys. Go ahead and copy that link. Don't leave, because she's having closing words. What do you want people to walk away with when they see this film? What do you want them to understand?
As long as you are a breathing, walking human being, you are still for sale for traffickers. Age is not an issue. They will use your organs. They will use your body parts. They will use your hands and feet to do labor, and they will use your body for sex. And, I want people to be aware that if you see something that looks suspicious, say something. And the last thing I want to say, because the voting season is coming back, ask the people you want to elect, what are you willing to do for our country or for our state or our district to end human trafficking?
Wow. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Guys, thank the audience. We want to thank all of you for joining in. You guys were so active and just I love it when you're talking. So thank all of you so much for joining in. Here is a number that I'm posting, and you can always go back to this live. If you hear anything, report it. They even have a help number, a text that you can text if y'all screenshot this, because if you never know if we get in a situation. She just said age doesn't really matter, so there's a text that you can actually text and let somebody know what's happening and report. Like she said, if you have any suspicions, let it out. But that's the number. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for coming into the audience and just being an amazing audience. We love you. Tomorrow I will be back with my guest for Rahab, Evelyn Jones-Reed got a stage play. So y'all be back tomorrow for that show. But thank you for coming to our segments, ladies in film and television, film that matters. Thank y'all so much. Y'all have a blessed night. Good night, everybody. Thank y'all for joining.
Thank you.